sponsors to help with this. So we want to call out some of those folks here. We are very thankful to have Couchbase here today. They sponsored all of the breakfast out there. So please, if you want to go out and grab some more fruit or pastries or coffee and tea, that's entirely thanks to Couchbase. Would one of you like to stand up and just do a little something about Couchbase while we have your slide up here? Also, as you can see, there's a QR code on the screen. We encourage you to follow the link in that code and enter to potentially win a free pair of AirPods.
Hey, good morning. First of all, I just want to tell you that I've been to a lot of things like this, and it's a very friendly crowd. So it's noticeable, it's palpable that you guys are and the work that you're doing, Lucas. My name's Chris. This is Priyank. We're from Couchbase, and I don't normally do this, but this is there's a reason why we're here today, and we need to get the word out about Couchbase. So before hearing that we sponsored the bagels, how many have heard of Couchbase? Okay.
Oh, that's pretty good.
That's not too bad. All right. So we're fighting a good fight here. We're the best next gen technology in the industry, but we don't really have the name recognition. So that's why we're here. Couchbase is a no SQL database platform with a memory first cache. And it's a masterless architecture, which means every node works. And this is very important and distinguishes us from our competitors. And I'm going to quickly, again, 3 minutes, why we're should be your fave database. Fave being fast, accessible, versatile, and easy. Right?
Amazing. I did not see that coming.
All right, good. So fast, I already mentioned the in-memory caching. And please note that a lot of the features that I'm talking about are native to the app. We didn't buy another microservice to do this. This is all platform. And what I'm trying to be in your shoes, like you want to develop, you want and I think it's really cool, but I'm not a developer. But we have an in-app database on your phone, a mobile app, and it allows peer-to-peer syncing. So that means when the internet's not available, you still have access and high availability to your data and your application through your phone. So think about that when you're developing on a mobile app. You want your user to have a good experience, right? You did all this work. You want to make sure they're having a good experience. Couchbase can support that for you. Affordability, maybe not what you care about, but maybe your company that works for it does. As I mentioned, we reduce data sprawl. So we have within this platform, and I use that judiciously, is that we have microservice I already mentioned, but things like eventing and caching and analytics, and you can use them or not and turn them on if you want them. So, and again, it's all integrated into the platform, so you don't have to buy additional services. Versatile, it's a JSON database which is flexible in its structure and it changes for the application. And you can either deploy Couchbase on-premise, which you know what that means, or in the cloud. Google, for example, for our Google friends. We're partnered with Google, AWS, and so you can either run it on your own if you want to do it there, or again, if you're a developer, you don't want to manage all that stuff. Give it to us, we'll take care of it for you. Lastly, we're easy. Another distinguishing feature, it's all SQL++, we call it, which is very similar to SQL. You don't need to learn a new proprietary language. This is stuff that you know intuitively. So you can ramp right up and just do your job without learning some other language. So with that, I think I did a good job, right? Under 3 minutes.
Awesome. Thank you. And please enter to win a pair of these AirPods Pro. I think you guys said you'd send it to the winner after the event. So I'll give you 2 more seconds here. What do you need me to do? The microphone is not working. Okay. Okay. We good over there now for sound? Okay, and let's get back to the slides. Great, so as I mentioned, we're so thankful for the collaboration with Couchbase. We are in the works on a future event together, so we hope that we'll be able to announce something maybe happening in January or February, so keep your ears and eyes open for that.
Postmates. So did everybody get one of the small slips from Postmates? So today is going to not only launch what we're going to be providing here as part of the event, but Postmates give you a free lunch worth $25 of your purchase. You have to download the mobile application either for iOS or Android, and then your checkout, you have in the code that is on that piece of paper. Do not send it to a friend and your family member that way for the folks in here. This is only specific for this event. It expires next week, so make sure you get your lunch. It only works for the restaurants in Boston. So if you're here, maybe visiting, you might want to get your free lunch between today or something like that. But at least this is that post, and we've had a partnership with them, and they've been supporting our event. So thank you for the free lunch.
Awesome.
So everybody knows JetBrains. JetBrains, amazing company. They offer 2 free. You can get to win 2 free annual person JetBrains subscriptions, and you get the EO of yours. Everybody knows JetBrains, Force, Kotlin, so if you can actually stick around, and we're going to be doing a raffle, and then we're going to pick actually 2 winners for free annual person subscriptions for something.
Awesome. Okay, so the event, we changed the schedule a little bit. We started a bit late, so we're gonna run a little faster than we originally intended to try to keep up. We have a hard stop at the end of today at 3 p.m. They're gonna kick us out because there's another event that they're like currently setting up for right now. So we will do our best to compress everything and keep on time. Puff will be up next, and then we may have Eddie come and speak, depending on if he arrives. Otherwise, I think we can either we're gonna play it by ear a little bit. So
some sort of community, ask me anything session or something like that.
Yeah. And so then what's going to happen after we're done in this room in the morning, we're going to go out there to grab some lunch, and we're going to split this room into 2 so that there'll be 2 halves and we'll have 2 sessions going on simultaneously.
This will be track 1 and the other one will be track 2. So if you look at the schedule, if you go to Bevy, if you look at the schedule, this will be track 1, that one will be track 2 once we split it afterwards.
Yep. Okay, so we're not going to announce Eddie just yet. But we will announce Puff. Would you like to do this introduction?
Yes. The man, the myth, the legend does not need any introduction. Please come and honor us with your presence. The Firebase image. Puff.
Oh no! Here we go.
Thank you so much for coming to our event.
Amazing. And we'll get him on the.
It's working.
It also means that it also means that I need to show up in at the end, which is great tool. Yet another tool that we need to, right? Then with iOS, we need to use something else. We have too many tools. I'm not sure when that started, but it's definitely the case today. So building apps is not easy. It's time-consuming, it's frustrating, it's expensive, and it's difficult. Like, let's be real here. Building apps has never been easier, but it's still not easy. That's why we need more tools. More tools. Things that should be easy are hard, things that should be fast are slow, things that should be cheap are actually quite expensive. And we need to fix it. And we're Google, we like building new stuff. So one of the things we recently introduced is Project IDX. By the way, I have no idea how they got this blinking cursor installed. I literally can't figure it out. I am very jealous though. So, but Project IDX is an online IDE. I'm not supposed to say IDE, so please scrap this from the live stream, but it's an online IDE. And you can see that it's AI enhanced. Sundar, I said it, AI enhanced. Yes, we're all good now, right? Thank you. Like, awesome. So it's an online IDE, but what's fun to talk about the online IDE? Especially like the colorful callouts, but how about we actually live code something with it? That sounds like way too fun. So that's what I mean. By the way, I normally do these talks also like online, and then I always tell people it's like I'm going to just show you this one window. So that's pretty much what we're going to do today. So we're going to do everything in this one window. Now, Project IDX is very new. It's still a waitlist preview, so you can't do the thing I'm doing here today yourself yet unless you sign up. We'll get to that in a moment. I'm going to live code something. Now, we all know that live coding, like at an event, is tricky. We have no idea how the Wi-Fi is going to hold up, especially since apparently the stream is not necessarily always collaborating. So please, everyone, keep your fingers crossed for me. And because when I do that, I'm going to make all the typos in the world. Also, if I make a typo, as I did in my last practice round last night, please yell it out to me loudly. Because otherwise we could be here for a while. And again, hoping that the name will still show up. So, this is Project IDX. This is where I get started. So Project IDX, if you read the slide, it says something about, right here, it's for all technologies, but right now we're focusing on web and photo. And that's the first two buttons in there. They line, right? So that's awesome. It's a web-based IDE. So I'm going to be building a Flutter app today. Sorry, I'm trying to actually change something. Okay. Reminder to self, I need to zoom. I'll run to back in a moment. So I'm going to create a Flutter app. And I'm going to make that a chat. What day is it today? December 2nd. Thank you. Yes, I do this quite well. Okay. So I've been building chat apps for my job for the past 8.5 years. It's fun, I can say. I've been building them with different technologies all the time. So all good. So I call this nano chat because it's going to be the world's smallest, or if you want to watch this chat. Like, and that saves these days. So I'm going to create it. It's going to do a few things. I'm going to keep talking, but I'm going to quickly run to the back to see how far I need to zoom in so that everyone can see it. So this is right now sitting in workstation. And the workstation in this case means months to make it really. Okay. So a workstation in this case means that I get an online IDE, an editor, and I get a cloud workstation, which is really just our way of saying you get a virtual machine in the cloud. Okay, let's see if it stops flashing. I'm going to show you, I'm not tooltip. Let's see if that's true. Or okay, look at that increment. That's wonderful, right? Like, again, when I press those randoms, it also means that if I say increment it out, uppercase, because I'm telling it, of course, then if I override, it says increment it out. So you can see, right, that both the state when I click plus or the labels, right, are being updated when I click, which is awesome. So, well, that was me for today. Thank you for being here. That's not something I did not. I deleted a bunch of comments. As I said, I've been building chat apps since a long time. So we're going to be building a chat app. What's the state of a chat app? What states do we have when we have a chat?
Red and unset. Yeah.
Let's start implementing it. So let's implement the state for our chat at first. We're just going to do it in manage. So I'm going to get rid of the counter here. Which also means I'm going to get rid of like all these things that depend on the counters. This program. As I said, I'm going to be building the world's ugliest chat app. So I'm going to get rid of all the things that make this relatively pretty, I would say. Get rid of them. And what we are going to do here is we're going to add the state. So I said that if we had a list of messages. Messages. It's a list, so whether you do it like this, and then 1, 2, 3. Okay. Nothing here, of course, right? I just have the state. I'm not rendering it anywhere yet. But this is the starting of our chat. Now, the first thing I want to do is I want to show these messages in my user interface, right? The states, right up on the display. And to do that, I need a list view. And in Flutter, it's a list view. And what we use here is called a build. Once you just okay, I need 2 things here, and apologies for the constant popping up of the autocomplete. It's a bit distracting, I know that, but I'm essentially trying to ignore it as much as I can. So I need the number of messages that it needs to display, which is going to be messages length, right? That's the number of messages. And with that, this tree will call my builder. So I have my builder, which is a function that I need to implement. It gets a context, which I'm not using, and it gets the index of the message in this way. That's actually an index. It doesn't matter too much, but this case. Okay. Now I need to return like a widget that displays this message. So I'm going to use a list for the revenue. Which tile. That's really amazing. I forgot how to use that. List tile is one of the beautiful widgets that just makes it easy to display something with like all kinds of like useful format. I'm going to use the title here, and I'm going to set that to a text widget, which is just a label. I'm going to set that to message. Wow, what will we do? Or actually my keyboard. And I need a semicolon. Let's save this. No, it doesn't work. But this is one of those problems that I have with IDX. Because I know what's going on because I've done Flutter plenty, and I'm overflowing here. Like it's overflowing the layout, and it's like it's angry at me. But somehow the error messages are not showing, and believe me, I'm strong. I can't find them. James from yell at the engineering about this. And I also don't see the normal like hashing thing on like where it tells me what's wrong. Yep. Luckily, I've done this a few times before, so happen to know that in the extended here, there's bandit, which is a channel. This should be all good. Yay! Okay. Woo! Okay. Oh, the people remotely can't hear me calling on any other. I can close it with camera. Somebody else will be. Just kidding. Okay. I'm easily distracted in case you get close. Okay. So this might be chat messages. It's I would say about 30% of the chat app. We have about 10 minutes left, so we should be good on this. The other thing that makes a chat app is that you can enter new messages, right? It's not a chat app if you are code. That's no fun at all. So let's actually fix that. And for that, we need a text field. I'm going to add it at the bottom here. So remember, that's like the order I add them in is just shows them right on one another. Like one, which is exactly. And text field is wonderful because it does everything that I want it to do. It allows users to enter text. And keep in mind, this is cross-platform. So if I open this on like iOS, it will show the iOS import with the iOS like buttons that you expect. And in web here, it looks a bit weird for a web app, but I'm not going to take the time to change too much. Okay. The only thing that I want to customize about is what happens when you submit the text. And when you submit the text, I get the value. doing what I do. So, it's right next to the current base that I did once ago. Okay, so when you submit a text, I'm going to add it to messages. And that's about it. Now I need to. Oh, okay, just to catch up. Like, what's wrong? I need to do one more thing. This will add it to the list, but nothing will happen yet. Right? If I'm outside 4 here, right, nothing happens. That's because this code runs, but Flutter doesn't know that it needs to refresh the user interface. So what I need to do is call set state, which I do like this, which is a bit weird always, but that's the syntax that Flutter likes. So this is all that it takes to tell Flutter, it's like, hey, I changed your state, please update you on. So we now enter like this again. We have a new chat message, which is quite wonderful. Yes, this is definitely a good moment for the control. Remember, I just have a browser here. I didn't install any tools, right? I opened the web URL and that's it. I have no idea what Flutter version is running, but it's the version that works. That also means that if I come back to this project half a year from now, it will still work. It will take some time to reload, because we need to recall storage, we need to like spin up your VM for it, but it just works, which is one of the things I like about this, because I'm really attention to this version of my chat. I could also share this with you because it's a web thing. Now, you're allowed to take a picture. It's not a very interesting picture right now, but we will change that a bit. It's going to be scary because I have to when we wired up to the cloud database. Oh, there's an okay, I'm actually going to open it here in a separate window like this. And this is why I'm showing it here, presenting an entire window. It takes a moment, but I'm going to open it here. It's taking a bit of time. I'm not sure why. Let's see. Ooh, I need to a bit of control, but definitely. Well, I hope that doesn't happen during the day. We'll see. But it's just messy. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Here we are, which is really cool, except where did that for? Oh, wait. So if I type 5 here. Oh, that's a really disappointing chat app, right? It makes sense because the status will load to the app, right? We're not storing this anymore. So to make this a real chat app, we need to store these messages somewhere. And yeah, I can store them in the browser, but that doesn't share it with something else. I can store it on my phone, then I need to be where if you want to something else. So I need to store this in clouds. Now, I could use many databases for you. I could use Couchbase, I could use like, I could use all kinds of databases. But since I'm wearing the yellow shirt that says Firebase somewhere, I'm going to be using Firebase next to this. Like, and there's many ways to do this. I'm going to show you the fastest way because I'm happy to show it up, so you need to wrap this up at some point. And I'm going to go to Firebase.google.com. I'm not going to zoom in here because honestly there's a lot of text here that I'm not going to read for you because it's not that important. What I'm going to do, like we have documentation, we have about 18 products. I'm going to be using 2 of them today, and actually only 1 mostly. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to focus on the Firebase console, which is just our web interface where you manage your Firebase projects. Now, I have a lot of Firebase projects because I've been doing this since 2012, right? But luckily, they're ordered by like recent use. And guess what? NanoChat is another recently used. We have many Stack Overflow users here, like so it's not anyone who actually still like these answers. If I ask the question and read a Firebase answer, then you'll know. I've answered about 70,000 questions about Firebase.
Stack Overflow is running that to your answer.
Actually, speaking here, John Speed.
Yeah, exactly.
John Speed is a fellow who is the #1 for all technologies. I'm the #1 for cloud. Okay, now we check. This is a project I created earlier, which makes it a bit easier to show it to you. I probably should. Now, this is not all that interesting. This is our homepage, but I'm going to be using the database that is called Firescore. So we have about 20 products in here. I'm going to be using only these tools. Firescore is a document database. It stores information in documents. And my database here is really simple. I have chats and I have chats too. Yes, in all the years that I've been building chats, I'm going to build 2. Actually, the second one is more secure. I'm not going to use that too. So it's a list of documents that are stored inside a collection. These are just words. What collection is the name we gave it, whatever you would call it for if you were like in relational database, it's a table, right? And then you would, what we call a document, you would call a row, right? So we have a collection of chats. Here we have these documents with fields. Now, I see 2 fields, message and timestamp. The values are not really important to me. But I'm going to order them on timestamps so that you can see the most recent message first. Okay. That gives me this message here. You notice that now these values are actually the timestamp values that I show. And yes, this is not a real timestamp that I'm showing here. This is something I entered manually so that I have one message on the top of the chat that we're going to see. But you can see here that I have two fields. That's fascinating. I forgot to reset something. But hello developers and a timestamp. So that's what we're going to be using. Now I need to wire my Flutter app up to this project. Right? Which means two things. I need to tell my project about the Flutter app, and I need to tell the Flutter app about my project. So I first want to show you what is done for that first. I need to tell Firebase that I'm going to be using a web app. Firebase knows about Flutter apps, but it thinks of that as web, iOS, or Android. So I'm going to be telling it about like a Flutter Android app, Flutter iOS app, but we're doing web. Remember, we're running in browser. So I'm going to be actually looking at this app, which is called NanoChat. This is the first one I can create. I need to want to check at some point how old this is. But, so it has all kinds of things here. Yes, you can now, that's okay. I swear I don't read all. What I have here is the configuration data for my chat. And the most important thing actually is that I have a snippet here that I need to enter in my chat. Now, if I was doing a web app, then I would copy this JavaScript, add it to my main.js or whatever, right, and put it there. But I'm doing a Flutter app, and there's no Flutter. And we have an entire documentation section that defines how to do it, and it's quite easy. There's all kinds of pop-ups, and I'm using IDX. I will show you enough pop-ups. So I'm actually going to cheat here, and I've taken this snippet and I'm converting it to Flutter code, and I'm going to magically make that appear in my Flutter. That's all we need. So I'm going to post this again. So my Firebase project knows about the web app building. Now I need to tell my Flutter about the infrastructure. So I need to connect it. And for that, I need some packages, I need some plugins. So I'm going to pub.dev, and yes, I mistype that very often. You should register pub.dev and redirect it. But it's all good if you type that right. And I'm going to use Firebase, I'm going to search for Firebase. If you haven't used Flutter, pub.dev is like what NPM is for your remote applications, or what CocoaPods or Snake Package Manager is for iOS, and we have something working with two approach. And literally, I find about Firebase here. It has lots of lines and it's very popular, so I think it's the right one. I'm going to go here, and this is what you always see for these packages. I'm going to go to installing, and it tells you to run this command, so that's what I'm going to do. Switch back to NanoChat. I switch over to the terminal. This is just regular VS Code. Keep in mind, this is a terminal that runs in the Cloud Workstation. It doesn't really run in my browser, but you'll be forgiven for not noticing that. I'm going to run this command. It's telling you all kinds of things. As I said, we have plenty of pop-ups. But this is now actually adding the Firesmart SDK to my program. That was quite fast. It actually also installed it locally. But all what it did, just so you know, is it added a line to my pub spec. So your pub spec is just like the specification of your app, and it has a list of dependencies and added this line to it. That's all it did. So I'm going to prove that you need two more SDKs. Actually, we need Firebase 4. I'm also going to do that. I've done this before, so I can do all the search faster. Which might is more installing. That's this one. By the way, at some point you know these, you can also do that by just typing them. I do copy paste because it's easier for you to follow along. Now I'm not hitting enter yet. Keep your eye on that file find tool. Highlight it and see what happens when I hit enter. Okay, so one straight. It adds a line. Isn't it amazing? The creative command like this, it adds a line to a concrete file. I think we're all a bit better than that. So for the next one that I need, Firebase 4, I'm actually going to do this manually. This is myself adding a dependency. I know this is the scary part of my job. Then I install it, and it tells me to add this line to my dependencies. And go back, I'm going to hit enter. It's like to add some line. And I paste it. Okay, this is all that we needed for the SDKs. I promise you that I would also build the chat. Sorry about that, I need to be here. Also nested tabs, by the way, sometimes I forget which one I need to switch. Okay, I'm going to go back here. One of the things that we were actually fixing on my James helped is the moment that I add Firebase here, my preview will stop refreshing. It's really annoying. We'll get that fixed in a moment. But I'm going to initialize Firebase. Remember the JavaScript thing that feeds? I'm going to add it to my main function, which means that my main function is going to be async. Just so you know. And then I have a snippet that is called init As I said, like, there's many ways you can do this. I happen to just paste this one. I'm gonna quick fix and import this SDK to get rid of red screens, they're distracting. And now we add this import here and do this whole initialized panel. You might notice that I'm relatively calm while showing something called an API key. I'm walking around, trying to make it clear that I don't give a hoot to take a screenshot of these values. These values are configuration. These values allow my Flutter app to find my Firebase project on Google service. That's it. They allow me to do nothing else. So yes, we call one of these values an API key, and yes, I very much regret that. I'm sorry. Because it's not really an API key. I've restricted what this API key can do very much. We'll see that at the level. One of the things I do. All of these values are just configuration. So in fact, it's not that I can include them in my app. I must include them in another app. Otherwise, nothing will work. Speaking of nothing that works, the preview has now gone into a refresh mode. And it's probably telling me what's wrong, but I can't find it. So what we figured out is that if we do a hard restart of the preview, in about a minute and a half, it will show up again. So this is restarting a process on the workstation. It's on the preview. So that's a big way. The web preview works on the workstation. We also, by the way, if I would switch to my internal Google account, I would see an Android and an iOS preview. They're really fun to play with too. But since you can't use them, I decided to not demo that either. Also, it goes quite confused with some all of this running, but it's really helpful when I'm getting it. Just not like this. Okay, the next thing I want to show while the preview is loading, because I can just keep typing, is I want the user to be signed in. Let's use that word. I want to not necessarily know who they are, but I want them to have an ID. That I can identify the user, for example. I'm not going to build that today, but right, if you add messages to the chat, then typically only you can add your messages, right? You can't edit other messages. Right? To do that, I need to know who you are. Right? I need to have an identifier. I don't need to know that, like your name. I always say this is Dr. Seuss. I don't need to know who you are, but I know that you are you. That's all I need. You're the best who you can be. So that's all. So I'm going to use Firebase authentication for that. So that's Firebase auth. We'll import the SDK for that. And we have something called instance. Then we do sign in anonymously. This is like the easiest way you can ever sign in. But sign in anonymously gives you a user ID. That's about it. We generate it on the server. It's guaranteed to be unique and defines for you. Doesn't know who you are. It's you. That's what I do. And guess what? Further, like Firebase SDK stores this local storage. That means that if we reload the app, we get the same value. And let's just show that because I'm not loading. Where are we? Here's my list of messages. I'm going to add a new text machine here. And I'm going to say that my user ID is the name that we give as string is Firebase auth. Let's see, Firebase auth instance current user. So current user can be no if I'm signed in. So I do a question mark to get UI. Which means that if this either shows no, because there's no UI, or it shows UI. Since I already signed in before I even started that, it shows UI. And mine now starts, this morning it started with a word that I would rather not repeat. We need to add something to a fit. What's happening there? But today it starts with one EQ. If I reload this, it takes a bit of time. It starts with one EQ. It's the same thing, right? Like not surprising. It turns out that our engineers are quite capable of storing the value in local storage. We need to do it. Don't show anything. Not capable of keeping my tree working. Now, okay, so that's all we need here, right? Like, so I connect to Firebase, and I mostly wanted to show you that, yes, we are connected to Firebase. Remember, we have a database here, and I want to add chat messages to that. So the first thing I want to do is I want to, actually, when I enter a message here at the bottom, I want to send it to the database. I do that first because, honestly, it's slightly easier than reading. So just so there's a reason for that. So I'm going to get rid of like this, because I'm no longer going to like add it to the local state. I'm going to write it to the database. So to do that, I connect to Firebase Firestore. There we are, called instance. Oh, right, I didn't import the SDK. That's like autocomplete normally. It's much nicer. There we are. And remember, we have a collection of chat, and here we have these documents. So I need to add a document to the chat box. So in other words, there's a collection of chats, and then I need to add a document. So a document is a list of key values, and we can give any key we want and any value. If you remember, well, let's not remember, let's show. We have something called message and we have something called timestamp. Right? The message is the string that you enter, the timestamp is the string you enter. This does not like any timestamp that you and I, well, that sort of non-developers would recognize, but this is the milliseconds since the epoch. The epoch is, I always joke that it's the date that I was born. It's not really, but it's about 2 months old. Okay. So the first field was message, and that's the easy one, right? Because that's the value that the user entered. The second field was called timestamp. Now, time matters. That's a mistake I made yesterday. And the timestamp is a date, the date time. So now, and then we do milliseconds since the epoch. It's this thing. That gets me the value that I need. We're waiting for it to load. Okay. Then we enter 4. And wait, where did it go? Anyone know? I didn't do anything to the UI. Like 1, 2, 3 is not there. It's in my database actually. This was the first message. There's one use. No, there's nothing. This is okay. Oh, wait, sorry. Hello. I know what. I'll tell you in a minute. Sorry about that. There's a new message now. And that one is now called hello. Sorry about that. That was every news. Let me do it again. Let's do hello world, everyone's favorite new thing, right? Hello world. Now, if I switch over, you see that there's once again a new document. That new document says hello world. That's not a surprise that it says hello world, because I just wrote this new document. It showed up here automatically. I didn't have to reload it. In fact, that's what we're going to do next. So I'm going to type another message like hello Boston. Yes. Right? Now, I'm not hitting enter, but I'm going to hit enter and quickly move over to the next tab. See if you can see the new document in here. Okay? 1, 2, 3, enter it. Yes. Go ahead. Well, that's the chat. You can just read the message here. Nobody ever likes that. That's a shame. Those would be the active chats to my question. So let's not do that. But this is the behavior you want in the chat, right? You never know who to refresh. Just showed up automatically. So that's what we want. Different platforms call this different things, right? If you come from an Angular or JavaScript background, you call this observables or RxJS or something like that. In Flutter, we call this a stream. A stream is a thing that where you can listen for events that happen. So I say things too much. Events is and that's what we're going to be doing. Right? So I'm going to like ignore the current message list I have. I'm going to start a new stream. So we have a stream, and to display that in the UI, I'm going to use a stream. Now, a stream builder has 2 things as a stream, not surprisingly. And our stream is going to be, guess what? The same thing that we wrote in here. Right? But I don't want to show off all the chat messages because that's going to be a bit much. So I want to show the most recent ones. So I'm going to do the same thing I did in the console earlier. I'm going to order by timestamp and to get these senders so that new responses there to call. And I'm going to limit it to the most recent 5 messages. Here and there. Okay. Then I'm going to ask for the snapshots, which is how I get a stream. Now it compiles, so it doesn't do anything. But this gives me the latest 5 messages. So when I first run the app, it was the latest 5. When I add a new one, it shows me the new message. It gets rid of the then oldest and adds a new message. Now I just need to render it. And to do that, I do a builder. The builder gets a context that I ignore. And it gets what's known as an async snapshot, data snapshot. Now, an async snapshot handles all the interaction with the database. And I did writing first because this one is slice and tree. Like, for example, something can go wrong, right? And if something goes wrong, then we have no data to display. Right? But what we do have is errors. So I'm going to actually say there is an error, display, snapshot, error. Like that. Cool. Error handling is done. You're welcome. Right? And the other thing is, right, that I really want is that it has data. So, right, snapshot, well, it has data. Now, it has data, I need to do quite some things. So, I'm actually going to first handle the case where it doesn't have the data yet. So, this is, right, there's no error, but it just doesn't have the data yet. The get is key yet, right? It just takes time to load data. So, what do we do when the data is loading? We show it's big, right? That's what we do everywhere. If you've ever done Flutter, you know that everyone's favorite like speeder is a sort of progressing thing. So we're going to do that. Now, if you watch carefully now when I say, oh, right, because it's lost in the I was like, why is it reloading? But we'll see the circular progress indicator, you will not notice it because you're actually so used to seeing these that you will ignore. Okay, if none of these is true, I have data. So I'm quickly going to get the data from my snapshot. Well, data. I by now know it exists, so I can use the exclamation mark to enforce that. And my data is now, it's called a query snapshot. Honestly, it's a list of the 5 documents. Maybe more, or sorry, maybe fewer than 5 documents if I have an empty database. In my case, it isn't, right? But it will not be more than 5 documents. So let's say we get the documents from the data. Docs. Okay, so I have my 5 documents. I need to display them. Wait, we've displayed those things before. Right? Like that's the code to here, the list. I'm actually going to take this code and make it in here. Now, it always looks a bit weird, but like honestly, I wish that it would automatically do this for me. I need to return the thing, I need to change this comma to the semicolon, but now we're in this again. The only thing that we're not doing yet, right, is we're still showing the hard-coded messages. So instead of messages domain, I use blocks domain. And instead of like the message at an index, I use the docs at an index. And since that is a full document, it's not fields, I'm actually going to get a message. Wow. Okay, our message. It was like the correct message. Okay. Let's see if this works. Excellent. I did this one. Let's refresh this one, see if we also get in here. Is Dan here? Basically, remember that we have a chat. I love, by the way, the font is so big that like the messages don't fit. We see if I can actually make it fit. It is fun when it works. This is, by the way, compiling it again, so that takes a bit of time. Right, that is actually awesome. So remember, if I now add a new message here, hello world. Thank you. Did you notice that there was a delay, by the way, between when it shows up in the window where I posted it and the other one? Yeah, that's called network. But so the local client actually shows it right away, which means that, right, and this is a trick with the SDK, I missed that, but it means that for the local user, it shows up right away, which is exactly what they want. Right? They don't see the latency. The other user doesn't know that the user, that their finger hit entering it, so they don't care about if you want to say it's effective. So latency compensation is one of the things we do behind the scenes. Now, this first message, by the way, is something that I entered into the database. But let's say that we can specify, like, if we can do something like this, right? This is a filter and X, right? Wait, wait on the message. Oh, you see what's happening? It's briefly showing up on my window, but it's never showing up in the other one. And that's because, remember when I said hello feeling, I was practicing a bit. For example, let's say that I'm from the Netherlands, so I happen to really like interactive, right? Let's, and, wait, but in Cloud Boston, right? Hello. Boston? Okay, time for you, Boston. That much, sorry. It likes Boston. I like Boston, apparently now likes Philly. I told you, right, like, I'm not worried about sharing my API keys. The reason is because I've set up my database to not allow it to any message. Because if you've all taken pictures, some of you might refresh and find those messages. And they showed up in your window, not on mine. And there's a reason for that. Is I do demos with lots of big events and your messages show up. I know I set up some database rules. Literally, I've configured this database to allow only a certain small set of words. And it's a really small set of words, which is why I have to be careful what I type. It's showing here now, it's hard to read. I know that this is a domain-specific language that we made up that says what's allowed in my database. You can see here, it might be a bit hard, but like it says what's allowed in the chat collection is if you write it, it has to be recent, like there's things, and it has to only use these words. This is a big regular expression. By the way, I need to go back. We just started supporting dark mode in the Firebase console. So maybe if I switch fine. Actually, let me try. Hey. Let's wait that. This is really the first time I have that, by the way. I didn't realize. The fonts are not, the colors are not ideal for dark mode. But see, Philly is here. But I'm in Boston. We don't like Philly. I don't know we actually say Philly anymore, right? So now, right here, I can give Philly right. Hello, Philly. It's not showing up anymore, right? And if I add it back, it stays in something. Okay. I'm definitely occupying a lot of time here. Hey, this is Firebase, this is Project IDX, this is Flutter, right? I'm using all the things here. If you want to get started with this today in France, I'm sorry. No, but you can sign up for the wait list. We are really trying to work as fast as we can. The limit is honestly the data centers. We just don't have enough machines. So we're like letting people in as quickly as we can on these. So if you go to IDX to Dev, you get what I call the world's freakiest wait list. The freakiest, very freaking wait list. And then you'll be onboarded at some point. If you want to do something like this today, there's other tools available. So one of my favorite ones actually is Z.Run. For example, Z with double P, which is actually a fun one because remember I said that I do this quite a bit. If you go to Z.Run, I'm signed in or you say get started. Then look, there's something called chat here, and it's created by your favorite developer person, me. So this is one of the examples that we have in here, and it's loading. And this should look very similar. It's slightly better than the one I just wrote because I had slightly more time. It looks prettier. This is the message that you just typing. It's the exact same project. Yes, you can write to my project as you follow my rules. I don't mind. By the way, you can also create your own project. Everything I showed you today is free. To get started with, the only one you have to wait for is IDX. You can also do the same thing with Z.Run. So I hope you can get started with that today. If you run into any problems or questions about this, come to find me. I'm wearing a yellow shirt. There's one other teammate wearing a yellow shirt. There's one other person wearing a yellow shirt. I really hope you can answer and find these questions because that's how it's going to work today. So, if not, you might want to switch into a different color. My name is Frank Pub. Thank you for being here. I hope you have a great day. Let's give it up again for Bob.
So I think we do have, I think we're really right on schedule. I think the team is gonna learn now whether we're gonna have Anieri come in. Yes, okay, perfect. Yes, and we have the man of the hour, Anieri again.
You're all set.
All right. Good morning. I usually have a lot more energy, but I'm trying to behave myself. It's a pleasure to be here. It's my first time in Boston. My name is I was telling someone about my job a few times, but I think the people in marketing, copywriting, strategy, they have a lot of fanciful ways of making me justify my pay. But the one I remember the most is my team supports the driving of awareness, advocacy, adoption, and feedback for Google technologies. And we do this through various programs targeting various demographics. In partnership with Google for Startups. So as much as trying to remember the new definition, the one that got me hired is the one that stuck. So I'm here really for awareness, advocacy, and adoption. So that's what the events like DevFest and working with other teams in product areas like Firebase, like Flutter, with the cloud team, I have to say. And they are more like the products that we help get into the community through our programs. So 10 tips to 10x your career in 10T or 10x or 10 question marks. This has come as sort of like a realization of a number of things I have done in my career over time. And it's also framed in two ways. One is, it's kind of like those popular letter to your younger self or Lincoln's letter to his son or one of those things. And then the second way I frame this is very, very soon, I'm going to take on the audacious task. Simple. What does this mean? 10 times your income, 10 times your impact. So if today you are able to influence, say, 100 people through mentorship, can you make that 1,000? Or the more easier one, which is more difficult, $1 million per annum. It's pretty easy. Just add Gen AI. Just add Gen AI to your CV and get another job. All right, so this is also going to be like an Ask Me Anything. I'm going to rush through this, but just feel free to ask me questions. They're like 10 of them, which is funny. The first 4 or 5 are pretty simple. From the 5th, 6th one, it gets a little bit controversial, but it's very opinionated. It's my opinion. And then you can follow the slides with 0 to hero. If you're in the cars, you hear about 0 to 60 in X number of seconds. If you're, I think the first time I actually heard it was from a dev advocate on the TensorFlow team, on our AI team, Lawrence Moroni, who was talking about 0 to hero in machine learning, right? So how do you go from 0 to hero, or from 10 to 100, or 100 to 1,000? Can you do this in 10 seconds? The job email, and then after you get the job email, maybe 10 seconds, and then your career 10x's. But can you do it in 10 days? I don't think so. 10 weeks? I think that's possible. Like intentionally say in 10 weeks, I want to grow my career, I want to grow my income 10 times. 10 months to me feels like that you set a goal and then you're going to do this in 10 months and you can. 10 years, if you haven't 10x your career and you've been working for 10 years, is that you got a very good job when you started out or you haven't been working hard enough? So 10 years should be normal. Oh, so I'll stick with 10 years. Start from where you are, start with what you have, right? Now, this is very instructive. Like, I mean, I come from a resource-constrained country, Nigeria. You know, I was born on the continent of Africa. I schooled in Africa all my life. I don't have an MBA from any of the fancy schools around here. I do work at Google right now, you know, but there are many reasons why I shouldn't have the job I have right now, right? I could give a number of excuses why, oh, when I get internet, when I get power, when I can feed myself, when I get in touch with someone, when I eventually have a mentor, I will start doing this. But the truth is, you have all you need, or all you need you already have. Every other thing you want is a want, you don't need it. So I want a mentor, I want someone to hold my hand, those are a series of wants. So far as you can, and don't take this for granted, you can speak, listen, understand one of the most prominent languages with code, which is English, and you can listen to people, you can connect, you can be at this event, you can make a choice to be here. You have all you need. All the people in this room, if you could tap into 3 or 4 of the resources you have here, you can propel your career 10 times. And this is also very instructive if you want to change careers, like you are back-end and then you want to go into AI or you want to explore the blockchain. Just start from where you are, just right there, just start. Nike says it best, just do it. If you want to continue playing around with that, it'll take you forever. So you don't need anything else. There's more than one path, right? The exact way, and you don't want to get to Silicon Valley the way I got here. It took me like 25 years, hustle and all that kind of stuff. You can't look at someone's career the way they model it and say, I want to do exactly what this guy did to get to where he is right now. Some people went the long route of, getting a master's, a postdoc and all that. Some people went through some boot camp. So you can't be on a particular path right now, then just stop on that path and say, I want to be where Roman is, so I'm going to do exactly what he did. I'm going to go back to where he started from and take that. Or you're playing around with a course maybe on Coursera, or you're learning something on Udacity, and then you figure out, oh, the great speaker that just spoke actually said he used this specific resource to get where and then you jump off your current learning path and then go take that other path. You would ruin yourself. Like, if you keep going all over the place, you will make it, right? I think there's an English proverb that says, rolling stone gathers no moss. I don't know why a stone wants to gather moss, but that's the way we learned the proverb. So it was pretty simple. Just stick to that path, follow through, finish what you started, right? So if you're going to make a decision to get into LLMs today and you want to start learning it, there's 1,001 resources. Google's got its own stuff. Microsoft has OpenAI has got their stuff. If you keep jumping from left to right, you're never going to nail it. The best way to learn is to teach, right? And then I was giving this talk, and then someone said, when you teach, 2 people are learning. Of course, that second person is you. The interesting thing about this, if you want to really be a good teacher, like you're just learning something, you probably would do at least a little bit of revision. You go look at the material again, you do some study, and then you go deliver it. Mine was different. I was giving a class on Intro to Web Development for STEM 5-year-old kids. And then I bungled the definition of HTML, which I thought I knew. And then a 5-year-old kid said, no, HTML means hypertext markup language. And I was like, oh, wow. And then the whole class was laughing, except one person, my 5-year-old son. His dad had just bungled the definition of HTML. So when we left class and we went home, he had a lot of gist for my wife. So just right, look, help your future self. Many programmers will tell you that they answer a Stack Overflow blog post, a question, and then 5 years down the line, they have the same problem. They go look for the answer, and they see the blog post they wrote or the answer that they wrote. So you may be helping yourself. So teach, write that blog post, record that video, give that tutorial, give that talk. You may be trying to help people, but eventually you're probably just helping yourself. It's a marathon, not a sprint. It's going to be a long journey, right? The classic joke I crack here is there's a lot of books, learn Java in 24 hours, learn this in, it's not 24 consecutive dusk to dawn to dusk hours. It's like an hour today, 30 minutes later, 8 hours in a boot camp. So cumulate maybe 24 hours over a 10-year period, right? That's actually how you learn a language or technology in 24 hours. think my 24 hours has not elapsed in Flutter. I'm still struggling. But it's a long journey. But the interesting thing is with IT, with tech, is you don't have to be chartered or licensed or practiced, maybe, to earn some money or to get an internship or to start playing around with some technologies. Like if you wanted to start introducing language models into your app today, you could literally jump on a specific API and then include some ML or some AI, and then you automatically start superpowering your app, right? You don't have to do this long journey before you now try to play with the technology or even earn from it or even enhance whatever you're building. And with this also, it is, you're going to keep learning. Implementing something today or spending 2 or 3 days on something and then working with it doesn't make you an expert in that stuff. So don't sort of like fool yourself. It will take time. It's a long journey, but it's not like medicine or law where you have to get chartered and licensed and do a residency before you start using that skill or ability. Done is better than perfect. So this is where it starts getting a little bit. There are many ways this is said. Perfection is the enemy of progress, but just like try to make sure your work is always done. Like think of the first version of Facebook, the G1 phone, the first version of Amazon. They suck, right? But they built billion-dollar empires, right? So get your stuff started, get your portfolio, get your sample app, get your whatever you're doing, the book you're writing, get it done so you could show someone and then get feedback. You could show the world and get users interacting with your product or your prototype. Yes, it should be done. How many of you could open your phone right now and absolutely say, I have no app updates pending? Okay, I'm going to give out some swag. Who has the most apps that need to be updated on their phone? I think mine is like 245. What does an app update do? It's new features and bug fixes. So all the apps we use, Uber, the Android OS, none of them is perfect, but they're all done. They're all shipped. They're all out there. There's going to be Flutter 4, right? There's going to be another version of Firebase. There's going to be something else. There will always be things to add and even things to fix. The good thing about great software designers is they make sure that the things that get broken, you don't see them on the UI. They take a crash report, they send it to their servers, they try to figure out what was wrong, and they keep hiding it until they fixed it, and then they release it. So make sure your portfolio, your software, your application is done. Don't try to perfect it. Like, I got fired for this. I just want to do the perfect software. So I'm not going to do anything. I have a writer's block, I have a creative block. So what I do, I'm working on it. I'm just trying to get it perfect. When I get it perfect, I'll send it to you. I don't have enough time to tell that whole story. Thank God that didn't happen on my Google job, because my Google job is the 10x of that job, right? And I wouldn't want to lose my Google job. The only thing worse than a bad decision is no decision, right? This is where the opinion gets controversial, and just take it from me. But I've been at conferences speaking for 7, 8, 9, 10 years, and I get people coming up to me and saying, does PHP still make sense as a programming language to learn? And then there's all sorts of arguments, and then people are like, yeah, but the first version of Facebook was written with PHP, and it scales, and there's this and there's that. It now follows this model. And the reason why he's asking is because he wants to know whether to learn PHP or Python. And this was in 2015. And in 2016, I see the same dude at a conference, and he's like, PHP or Python, which one should I learn? And in 2017, PHP or Python. And then he's like, okay, and I hear this thing that's called UI, UX. Should I learn UI or UX? I'm like, forget the slash, there's no difference. It's just a slash, right? Pick one and learn. And then like, okay, I probably want to go home, or I want to go back to the airport. I hit the freeway, or I hit the road. It's left or right, it's 50-50, right? I can't stay there because I have no data, and then I say I'm not going to make a decision. Like, I don't know where to go, I don't know who to ask. Take a left. If you drive for 300 miles and you haven't gone to the airport, you're probably in the wrong direction. Just turn around and head this other way. Get 300 miles back to this position. In probably 20 miles, you hit the airport. So the plane is going to crash. Do you want to jump? Do you want to create a parachute? Like, you just have to make a decision and run with it. You gain nothing from not making a decision about whether to start a startup, whether to apply for the job. None of the consequences, whether they're good or bad, happen to you if you don't make a decision. So the only thing worse than a bad decision is not. Now, there's some things that are critical, like you don't want to crash a company, you don't want to do a heart surgery and not sure of which artery to cut or whatever. But like, if it's not life-threatening, if it's not urgent, important, and critical, just make that decision with the available information you have, and then after that, you can pivot. To get what you've never gotten before, you need to do what you've never done before. I've realized that in my life, you have to do something extra. Whatever brought you here, whatever got you to this point, whatever brought me to Silicon Valley, moving from Nigeria, getting into Google on the continent, and bringing me here, it's not enough to even get me promoted, right? You can't get into college exam. You can't get a job if you don't apply. To get something extraordinary, you're going to have to do something extraordinary. The ordinary stuff you've been doing is not just enough. So when you hit a level or you hit a plateau, to go to the next level, you just have to do something you've never done before. Take an exam, finish that course, read all night. A course. Some people have never paid for a course. They're like, I can't pay for courses. $9.99 on Udemy. Never. How do you want to be a perfect person with some technology if you can't even pay $10 for a course, right? You want free stuff all the time? The other way you look at this is if you do what you've never done before, you would likely get what you've never done before. It's almost the same as the previous one. You've got to do something. Like, challenge your manager, fight with him. Like, you either get fired or you get promoted. Do something, speak up, go to that conference, network. Every time I go to a conference, I'm just there, I don't talk to anyone. Why don't you go to a conference the next time and say, I'm going to talk to 10 people. I'm going to share my LinkedIn. I'm going to wear a t-shirt that has my name or a QR code with my LinkedIn. Just do something you've never, like, I think there's something that says, if you do the same thing the same time and expect different results, that's the definition of insanity. You've got to switch it up a little bit. Do something extra, right? And when it comes to doing stuff, one day or day one, you decide. Like, you could decide right now, this is the day I'm going to switch it up. This is the way I'm going to be different. Or you could say, one of these days, sometime in the next 2, 3, or 10 years, I'm going to get into this Gen AI thing. It might have stopped being the flavor of the decade by then. So one day, or day one, you decide, thank you.
And now you can share your screen. Before you share your screen, you can try the presenter mode. Share your screen.
Not just the one screen, right? Slow. What happened?
Sharing screen already? She's trying the presenter mode.
But it's not coming up here,
Let's give
right?
it a moment.
No, I see the booth.
No, it's not coming up.
It's not coming up, right?
No.
No. Do you have any options? Change the presenter mode?
You wanna bring it, oh, because there's only one.
Oh, I should extend. If I extend the screen, will that work?
I think you could do that. Can you try?
Can I disconnect and try
Try
that?
doing the, the,
Display, right?
yeah, exactly. Display. Try it again. Yeah, let me see. Sorry. Okay, there we go. So
Okay.
it's the extend. Exactly.
Okay. Now. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. This one.
Yeah, I think I need to do it again. Because I closed the presenter view. Okay. Okay.
Oh, why it's not extending? It didn't extend at all. Okay, so
It didn't extend?
yeah, I think you're gonna have to.
Do you have your phone to refer to speaker notes? You can do that. You can just present.
Present and
So
do
Yeah.
maybe the camera choices live.
I think it worked.
It worked?
But it's still just duplicating it.
Ah,
Yeah, it's just.
okay.
Yeah, probably use your phone to speaker notes.
I'll use the phone.
Yeah.
But can you check if that was
Yeah, can we check that? Is she sharing
Is
here?
it good?
We can get to know it. You can go to the other tab.
Right here?
Yeah.
And then we do
Then beyond
go ahead.
code, right? This is the one, right? Beyond
Yeah.
code. Then share.
oh, but this
And then you have
Yes.
to go check whether.
okay.
We just do.
I don't
Sorry about that, guys. We had like a couple of technical difficulties, but I think we should be good. We just wanted to remind everybody that after Deepika's talk, we're going to have lunch being served outside, and then we're going to split the room. So just hang in there, stay with us. Now we're going to get ready for her talk. Okay.
Yeah. No, it's not coming. Speaker notes. Okay. All right. Hello, everyone. Good morning. And welcome to DevFest Boston. And thank you so much, DevFest Boston, for giving me the opportunity. Here, we are here to talk about the AI beyond code. It's about, sorry, I'm still trying to, okay. So in this talk, we'll embark on a journey where we intersect about how you can build AI-driven products, but harness the AI technology responsibly and with all the ethical needs, right? Okay. Okay. Sorry, too fast. It's okay. So a little bit about me. I've been in the software industry for about a decade now. I started my career back in 2014 when machine learning I was still doing it as a rule-based machine learning on devices. I started my career with Intel in the new devices group, where as a software prototyping engineer, I worked on new technologies and looking at the gap in the new markets and how we can leverage those gap and build out the opportunities. And most of my work has been in the building the AI technologies with the creative arts, whether it's a mostly in the consumer space, but it's how you can leverage AI for music or how you can leverage AI for the content automation in the visual effects. So I've been into those consumer industries, very non-standard consumer industries for about 10 years. And right now I'm an entrepreneur and I have my own startup called Upladder AI, where I work as a product specialist and help seed stage companies in their product development. And I'm also a WTM ambassador here. I joined Women Tech Maker Ambassador last year, and I love the community. It's just such a great community. Okay. So this is a very interesting line. I know it's very plain and very simple. It's not hard to do the right thing, but it's just hard to know that what right thing is. I think this sounds great with what we are trying to achieve here and what we're trying to learn here. And I especially want to focus on this person, Mo Godat. He's a former chief business officer, and he published a new book, Scary Smart, and I recommend you guys should look at it. It's a very good book which tells you about the ethical implications that AI systems can have in the future. Okay, so let's come back to the why we are here to talk about is what really ethics means. And in the plain English, it's for everyone, right? It's a guiding principle where we respect each other, we respect each other's privacy, we don't discriminate everyone, and we are promoting the well-being for everyone, right? It's the basic plain English what ethics means, right? But if you look at the industry, which is not very familiar here, okay. So these are some of the headlines from last 2-3 years, couple of years, where big corporations are actually using AI in the production for the consumers. And you'll see whether it's Amazon or Tesla or like all the big companies are here, right? This sorry, this is my first talk, sorry. Okay, so this is a reminder for us, like why we need ethical, ethical implications can be on us as a community, right? And why we need those guardrails in place, right? And let's keep these stories in mind so that whatever we learn in the talk going forward, we can refer back to them and understand why it is important. Whatever we are building going forward, we need to think ethically, right? Okay, so very simple ethical dilemma comes in as ethical challenges in the product development. When you build a product, why you need to be ethically sound when you're doing the judgment, and what are the strategies that you can use when you're building the product, which is AI driven, and what it actually looks like when you evaluate AI ethically in practice. And the very important question in the last is who owns the ethical product development? Okay, this is a very interesting experiment that I did with the LLMs. Okay, so this is actually the exactly challenge that highlights. Okay, so this is a prompt talking about the post LLMs era, right? I wrote this prompt which helped me visualize an infographic emphasizing the complexity and difficulty of AI ethics challenge, like exactly the what I want. Include the elements representing the biased data sets, lack of transparency, technology outpacing the ethical frameworks, and need for continuous vigilance, which I believe those are the 4 critical challenges that we face when it comes to building the products with ethical guidance, and the visual elements suggesting the representations of all these 4 challenges with the blue and gray and white. I think I was very clear in the requirements, like what I want from the LLM, like giving me this. And the answer was, so I tried 2 different LLMs. I won't name which one is what. Okay. So if you look at the first one gives me a very good, very comprehensive look, right? It gives me the challenge that I face in the ethical and biased data set. And, it gives me a very comprehensive picture, like, okay, what the challenge might look like, right? So it bolsters your creativity. Whereas on the second side, it gives me merely an infographic. Okay, you asked for these 4 points, and I'm giving you in like 4 different quadrants, and the pictures might not mean anything, right? So you see, they both are trained on big data set, big everything, but what I asked is completely different, 2 different quadrants, right? So I think that gives you some idea about, why ethics is important when you're building this big technology. And we'll have another session for, describing which LLM was from which company. So let's not go there. Okay, so before the LLM era, that was the standard AI product development cycle, where you'll have a problem definition, you prepare a data for it, you do the model development, you validate, you deploy, and then you look at the ethical considerations, what's working, what's not working, whether it's good or not, and then you put the security in place, you feedback, iterate, and then finally you scale and optimize. That's a pretty standard AI product development, right? But post LLM era, it's not standard anymore. What we need to do here is take out that ethical part as just mere a step and put that and incorporate that with every step. That's because that not only help you understand the limitation of LLMs, but also help you understand what they can achieve, and along with the limitations, and you don't have to go back and retrain because they are very expensive to retrain, honestly. Okay, so if we look at that, how the ethical, implementing the ethical practices at every step. So the very first step is the problem definition. So understanding the problem definition from the standpoint of not only who is your target user persona, but segmenting that target persona based on the culture or the demographics. That really helps you understand it. It also depends on what kind of product you are building. If it's for consumers, that you want to highlight and you want to think about the every user who's using, not just the basic outline, right? That what it means is like collaborating with the diverse stakeholders, including ethicists, and also building the advocacy groups, so that you can understand better what the problem you're solving, and also based on that you can set out the project goal as necessary. The second step, where you can actually use the ethical practices, and you should do the ethical practices, is the data preparation. Understanding who owns the data, from where that data is coming, is the user is consenting us to use that data, is there a bias, is the existing data is biased, and is there a way we can leverage the synthetic data also, and is the data diverse enough, and detecting and mitigating the biases as it comes. And there are certain frameworks out there. The AI Fairness 360 toolkit is from IBM, and it's pretty open source, which you guys can look at it, which contains a lot of bias detection algorithms and the mitigation techniques that you can use. So incorporating these at the data preparation will go a long way. In the third step, at the model development stage, where you actually, it's not the product development, like the product manager will be doing much of the stuff, but the main roles will be played by the AI engineers and the machine learning engineers, or the MLOps, right? So establishing the clear ethical guidelines, providing the training to the engineering team so that they also understand what the guardrails are and how they should proceed while building that model. One of the good practices is to follow Google's ethical AI principles. They have a very big site, Google AI Principles, which elaborate very nicely what techniques that you should do and why you should do it. And other framework is IEEE's Ethically Aligned Design Framework, which is a general principle book that the ethicists go by, right? When it comes to validation, deploy, and monitoring the model in the production side, ensuring the transparency and the understandability why the AI system is producing those results is very important. Not from the enterprise point of view, but as a consumer also. When I'm getting something, I should also know what's happening, right? So using the Google model cards, it's a Google research project where they tell you the performance metrics, the limitation of the LLMs, and what it can do, what it cannot do, so that you can understand why my data or my face is not getting detected in the object detection or something, right? So having those policies in place and understanding those research is important, and using those practices, and also building the ethical metrics and the fairness test. In the security and the privacy side, we should always understand how we can make our data anonymization more robust so that unwanted attacks can be minimized. And a very good example of when it comes to security is Apple Secure Enclave technology, where they store the user information completely on a different device, not device, but very secure hardware location, which is not accessed by other apps, right? And minimizing the data collection and only collecting the required data. And obviously, cannot miss that following privacy by design principles. And when it comes to feedback and iterating, doing the systematic assessments in the experimentation side, identifying the potential ethical issues that might arise, mitigating the biases as they come in. Companies and like for all the product development needs to be very vigilant on that, right? Continuously monitoring that and making sure, yes, as they arise, it's taken care of, right? There's another framework which is very that we can use as ethics impact assessments to evaluate, right? Okay, once we put all the practices in place and everything, we kind of put everything is working, how we evaluate that's actually ethical AI in practice. I'm going to refer back to the Google model cards because they actually do that. When they build those object detection APIs with the LLMs and the different model architectures, and they responsibly disclosing what it can do, what it cannot do. So be transparent about the limitations your product can do, and also publishing the annual reports detailing the ethical performance that it's been doing or what it cannot detect. Be open about that. And encouraging the industry-wide transparency and accountability, that's actually really help and build trust from the user perspective with the AI technology. Okay, very important question. Who owns the ethical product development? Is it just the product manager or the whole organization, right? It's always a question which needs a discussion. But I believe when it comes to building this responsible and incredibly useful technology, I think everyone is responsible. Everyone owns that development, whether it's a product team who actually sets out the ethical standards that the product should work within, defining those guardrails, and the engineering team building those guardrails more robust so that making sure any unwanted things it's not growing out of those guardrails, as well as the AI engineers when they are building those technologies, they're making sure if there is a limitation that can go out or highlighting those in practice, and organizations really like building that culture of how you can be ethically aligned to deliver those results, right? Building maybe in terms of building out the trainings and advancing more on the ethical frameworks. I remember when I used to work at Intel 3 years back, Intel had a very strict policy. Even if you're an employee and you're doing some synthetic data, or if you're using your photo in the testing, you have to sign a waiver. Like you cannot use that. They're like very strict when it comes to using your data, even if you're an employee and building your own project at that time. Okay, so everyone says make AI accessible, but I would counter and add, let's make AI accessible and useful to everyone. That's me. Thank you.
Time for like one or two questions. For you, if anybody has questions, I will bring my book.
Last night I was not very far away from here at the Institute for Contemporary Art, and I had a chance to talk to one of the WBY change makers, or the makers for 2023. And I asked her what she thought about AI, and she was basically, as an artist, afraid, and then her artist friends came and talked to me. They were also afraid. What would you say to them?
I would say, so if I understood correctly, they're afraid of like right now how the AI has developed, or in the starting, like, or they have no idea like how to use AI.
No, they create content and they're worried about being replaced.
I wouldn't say they are being replaced. I think the new paradigm that I see emerging in this AI technology is there's a gap between how fast AI is emerging versus the knowledge for the people, because people are very overwhelmed with the information that they can consume, right? So AI is not going to replace. AI going to help people with more creativity, right? In all my products that I have built in the creative arts, it's not to replace them, perhaps make them more productive. Like for my VFX product, it was actually doing all the grunt work, passing that grunt work to the AI, so that artists can free up their work and their time to focus on more creative tasks. So, yeah.
Thank you so much for your presentation. My name is Karen, and out of curiosity, you spoke about AI and ethics. It's a very subjective topic because ethics is different from like everyone, but it's a normal community ethics. And you talked about like the different teams, and ethics is to start from the beginning team, which is the product team. So if you're, let's say, in the engineering team and ethics has not been implemented in the first initial start of the project, what are some of the ways that the engineering team can maybe implement ethics if it has not already begun from the initial stages?
So I think that's a very good question. Thank you. But I would say in that picture, there was the organization also, and the organization also plays a very big part. Even if you for some reason product is not ethically, the goals are not ethically aligned, or there are no guardrails, but having that sense built into the organization that, okay, we have to be conscious about the user or about their privacy, that it comes inherently when you are coming and building that, right? So I think the organization also, that's why they play a very important role in that. Yeah. And it's when you're building and you know those parameters, then it comes inherently to you. Thank you.
Any other questions? We may have time for one more question.
Thank you for coming and speaking. This is a great talk. I have a question about how you've seen AI implemented. Is there any difference in how much of a focus there is on ethics between for-profit companies and non-profit companies that are leading in AI right now?
So, so if I understood correctly, you're asking how the ethics matter with the AI more AI leading companies versus other?
So for companies that are for-profit, do you see them actively engaging in these ethical practices, more so or less than the nonprofits that are in the space right now?
I don't see that difference, honestly, right now, because I believe when it comes to building that technology accessible to everyone, and mainly those are like very few companies out there, like Google or OpenAI or Anthropic, like They are the big companies who are actually leading that effort, where it makes accessible. There are other companies who are leveraging that big technology and building onto their products, right? So when you're building the foundation with ethics in mind, I think it's gonna go over and building more ethical products going forward. So I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
Any more questions? Going once? One more?
How much of ethics is culture versus how much of ethics is global phenomenon?
That's a very good question and a very vast question. I would say ethic is very vast, I would say. Yeah. Culture is one aspect of it, because when it comes to the consumer space, you talk about like expanding it globally, right? So in that sense, it comes on the culture, but when it comes to individual one-to-one, then I think it's like big. So I'd say it's vast.
Okay, I think we're out of time. Thank you so much again.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Now lunch is being served right outside, so you can make your way outside. This room is gonna be split into two, track 1 and track 2. After lunch, we'll let you know which room you can go into, but it's gonna be split right after. So thank you so much, everybody. We'll see you later after lunch.
Yeah, that's why I do it.
How do you feel? Relieved? I think in the first 2-3 slides I was a little nervous, but then I was like, you breathed